Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the momentum shift is what you've been looking for.
Some of the things that we've been taught about save, pay your mortgage off after 30 years, that's a long time. Put your money in the 401k. After 40 years, you'll have this. And I'm not saying those things you should not do.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. All of them take a long time.
Yes.
And I'm 55. I'm 55. You and I about the same age. Do we
I'm 54.
Another 30 or 40 years to go get something done?
Hello, I'm Eric Collier. I'm also known as the Mayor of Motivation. As a motivational keynote speaker, veteran, and two-time Amazon International best-selling co-author, I specialize in inspiring transformation. Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. I've made it my mission to help individuals unlock their hidden potential and shatter barriers to turning the impossible into reality. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become. I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on the promise to my kids, where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in the house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. If you're seeking a dynamic speaker to ignite your next event, I'm your answer. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You've got to get in the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you. You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Let's create an unforgettable experience that leaves your audience empowered and ready to conquer any challenge. Reach out to me at the number 1 momentumshift.com. That's the number 1 momentumshift.com. And let's make your next event an extraordinary success. Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift, a show designed to get you inspired, get you moving so you can get results. Why? Because we want you to make the impossible possible for you. We want you to do those things that you think that you can't do because we know that you can. With me today, I have a powerful speaker here today. He's a senior pastor at Fellowship Christian Church. He's the senior pastor of Fellowship Christian Church and managing partner of Dominion Real Estate Holding LLC. He's a faith-based financial mentor who is passionate about helping families build what? Generational wealth, God's way. And I like that about you. Thank you. I love that. So using what he coins the SHIP method, he shows people how to get out of debt, create a legacy, and own real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my guest today, Mr. Dexter B. Jenkins. Sir, welcome.
I'm excited to be here. So we connected about 2 weeks ago. I've been looking forward to this. So I'm assuming that this is what we call a divine appointment.
There we go.
It's gonna be some good stuff.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen.
Yes, sir.
I like what you talk about. So the show is all about momentum shifting.
Right.
And part of being stuck is the I don't haves. I don't
Right.
have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources and the people.
Right.
But you show people that you can create the opportunities you're looking for simply by what? God's way. You talk about using the shift method. But before we go into that, I want to touch on how you see momentum shifting and how it's help you improve your life or change your life.
Right. Well, as I was thinking about, like I said, I've listened to a couple of your podcasts, just really getting prepared because I really want to make sure that I was able to serve your tribe well.
Thank you.
And so I've got to think about this question, my momentum, and this is what came to me, Eric. It was this: either you're creating momentum, or either momentum is created against you.
Yeah, yeah. And we talked about it too. We're both athletes, so
it's like that.
Exactly what that feeling's like.
Yeah, that's what really jumped out. I'm like, wow, either momentum, either we're creating it, or we can say like this: either we're creators of it, or we're victims of it.
Yeah,
And so to your point of looking at sporting events, so we're watching this. I watch football. I really watch football too heavy until like the playoffs.
Okay,
it's just a long season, but I watch highlights, and so you'll see plays in either whether it's football, baseball, or basketball. Hockey, any sport. I mean, it turns so quickly on a play or two. Now, sometimes the coach puts in a certain play because he knows they're going to create momentum.
Right. Yeah. There it is.
Right. And then sometimes it happens against you. Another coach puts in another player, and then it happens against you. So it's this thing I believe in life. When it comes to momentum, either we are intentional about creating it.
Yes.
A lot of times it's created against, or it's created against, and sometimes we have no saying it. Like, we coming out of COVID. Man, that was did to us. We had it was just like this little virus, and next thing you know, you can't leave the house. You got to mask. It was like, it was crazy, So one minute you're living your life, and then the next minute you're like, oh shoot, I can't leave the house, or everybody wearing masks, or So it's just it was like it was created against us, and you had to adapt and move and shift in order to keep yourself moving.
Yeah, exactly. And I think reading on your bio and some of the things you had going on, I think COVID was a big time for you in shifting.
Yeah. It was really challenging because we were in the middle of doing a couple of real estate projects.
Okay.
I think we're in the middle of doing 2 or 3 of them. And, when COVID hit in Massachusetts, you're in Maryland area, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in Massachusetts, man, the governor shut down everything. And we couldn't even, contractors couldn't come to the houses. Cities weren't allowing people to come and inspect homes. And so I got 2 or 3 projects that I'm juggling that I got to get done.
Right.
But nobody's working. Well, let me say this to you. While this is happening, the banks are still looking for their money.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't take excuses.
Yeah, they're a little bit more lenient because they recognize what season we were in. But this went on for 2 or 3 years, and so they're looking like, okay, at some point, we got to get back to business. And so, we really had to shift and pivot how we were doing things in our real estate business. And so it ended up working out, but it was like there was a time of being extremely flexible.
Yeah.
Really relying on the relationship that we had created with individuals.
Okay.
So those relationships allowed us to navigate some of the things that some of the troubles that we were having.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing, building relationships. A lot of people want to sit in the house and not talk to anybody. You build some relationships, you can create some valuable partnerships, right?
Yeah, well, that's the season we're in. I heard a guy say we're in the season of collaboration. It's not about competition; it's about collaboration. And so, you're an athlete, former athlete. I'm a former athlete. We know we can do better. We can do more together as teammates, as opposed to me trying to do my thing, you're trying to do your thing. And so, I just think the more that we can collaborate, and the world has got so much smaller through social media, podcasts, YouTubes, and things of that nature, man. You can reach out to people. I didn't know you a month ago.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't they? You would have never come into my orbit, and I would never come into yours, but except through, social media and then Dr. Pam Perry, both we know fairly well.
She's
and
awesome.
so she connects us, and then here we go, and so one of the things I would say to your people listening, if you want to create momentum heading out of 2023, heading into the year 2024, you got to be strategic about the collaborations and making partnerships with people.
Yeah, I agree with that one. And I like what you said too there, because we're moving out of 2023. By the time this is aired, we'll be right there on the cusp. Even if we're in 24, it's going to be right there at the end of 23. Right. So we want to be able to help people really step their game up and start moving forward. And I think what you do is huge. So talk to me a little bit about the SHIP method, because I love that you are passionate about helping people create generational wealth. And for me, I'm a father, I'm a husband, been married for 32, going on 33 years. I got 3 kids, I got 6 grandkids.
Wow.
And somebody who's had to stop and run into these walls of bankruptcy and falling behind on things. I know it's important to be financial literate. Financial literate and have finance backing. So talk to me about how people can go from stuck to really moving forward with their finances.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. And I think that when you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, we were just sort of kicking it offline. You're like, yeah, we need to bring that stuff onto the podcast.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, bring that onto the podcast because we were talking about really more so anything. We were talking about the mindset that many of us were trained to have.
Yes. Around
money and about wealth and about more importantly, how we earned wealth and what we did to do that. And so I believe part of what my mission is, so that and you mentioned in my bio, my wife and I started a church in September of 2012. So we're now 11 years pastoring. And I kept running to Eric into this thing of people said, Pastor, I want to come to church, but I got to work on Sunday. Oh, Pastor, this is going on. And then I had some people lose a house in my church. And I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
I'm talking about prayer. I'm talking about reading the Bible and all that. I'm like, people losing their house.
Yeah.
And so with my background of being in financial services for 20 years, my background in real estate, investing in things of that nature, I said, you know what? I need to marry those together and bring that to God's people, not just only God's people, just people in general, and then people who look particularly like you and I, of the dark Black folk, Black and brown people. We just didn't get the memo in many respects that what we were taught about working hard, going to school, 8 hours work for 8 hours paid, that's not how wealth is built.
No, it's not.
So that's not how wealth. That is not how wealth. Now the people who are telling you that will have you doing that because they're making money off of you.
Right.
But they're doing something totally different. And so when you begin to look at how is wealth created, how is wealth, like you said, you're a man married 32 years, children, grandchildren. I'm married 26 years this year, 3 children. I got 1 grandson. Okay, so now we're thinking legacy. Obviously about taking care of ourselves. We think about, because part of, in my opinion, a man's legacy is not only what he does for when he's here, but what he does for those who are left behind him.
There we go. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so now you're looking at what are those things need to do that. And so in order to simplify how I teach that, that's how I came up with the SHIP method. So in 30 years of looking at wealth, so whether it's from the Bible or whether it's from books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, other books that I can name, Think and Grow Rich, all of them.
Right.
A lot of them. They talk about 3 things there. They talk about number 1, they talk about stewardship, meaning how do you manage your money well, meaning do you give it an assignment or do we just let it do whatever it wants to do? Because money has to be directed. This. And I think everybody knows this now. Times have changed somewhat, but if you're old enough to remember when you had to go cash your check, on Friday, now everything direct deposit. But now back in the day, we had to go get a physical check, go to the bank, or either cash it or deposit it. Right.
Yes.
And it was like, okay, you got this cash in your hand. And if you didn't tell it what to do, you looked up, you're like, oh, I had $500, but now look at the end of the weekend, I got $250. Where'd it go?
Right.
It's because you didn't steward it and given it an assignment. So part of what I've learned is that if you're going to build wealth, if you're going to build legacy wealth, generational wealth, is that you have to do well at stewardship, meaning telling your money what to do. So that's number one. The number two
Gotcha.
is ownership. Now, why is ownership important? Well, ownership is important is because you've got to own the right things. Now, it's not that we don't own anything; we just own the wrong things.
Gotcha.
So we tend to own things that go down in value as opposed to going up.
Right.
Got it?
Yeah.
So when it comes to ownership, I got to do a couple things. I got to look for this thing called assets, and assets do two things primarily. Number one, it produces cash flow.
Okay.
Number two, it appreciates in value. So now, why am I so big in real estate? Because real estate is probably the most tangible thing that people can wrap their minds around to do both of those.
Right.
Got it? So
and it
now,
doesn't go anywhere, right?
Yeah, it doesn't go. Dude, people always need a house to stay in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about ownership. I'm thinking about, okay, if I have a piece of property that, number one, it can through rents and other things, it can produce positive cash flow for me, but then also the property appreciates in value. So if you look at where I'm at in Boston, property values have appreciated tremendously over the last 4 to 5 years. So one of the properties that I have is a rental property. We bought it for like $219. 4 years later, the property is worth almost $500,000. Well, I didn't do anything.
Nice.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything with the property. I improved it a little bit, but
Right.
my tenants have been paying the rent. But then, just because of natural market things, it just appreciated in value. So it becomes this thing of, when I'm thinking ownership, I got to be thinking about the things that I'm purchasing. Do they have a chance to, number one, produce cash flow for me? Because cash flow is the most important word in business and personal finance. Gotcha. Meaning, which direction is the cash flow flowing? Is it flowing to me or away from me? Right. Got it? Yeah. So that's ownership. And then the third one is entrepreneurship. Now what's the big deal about entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship takes advantage of this thing of us not simply trading hours for dollars. Meaning, we were trained that when we were growing up as kids, they would say, what do you want to be, Erica? What do you want to be, Dexter? You say, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a lawyer. I want whatever it is. Athlete. I want to be most always athlete for many of us. I want to be back in the day, be like Dr. J or right. When we were growing up, that's what it would be. Yeah. Somebody along those lines. But what we didn't know is this, Eric, is that you will never build substantial wealth trading hours for dollars. Meaning this. There's only how many hours a day can you work? Obviously 8, 10, 12. Who wants to do that forever? But just say you work 8 hours a day. Well, if they pay you 40, even if they paid you $100 an hour, at some point in time, it's a limited commodity. So what entrepreneurship knows is this. Entrepreneurship says they have to take advantage of the hours of other people. There we go. Yeah. So now, I'm not only getting paid off what I'm doing, I'm getting paid off the efforts of 5, 6, 7, 8. It just depends on how big you grow your company. And so that's what I found is that between stewardship, ownership, and entrepreneurship, that's how people build wealth. Right. I know I'm going to mess this quote up, but I think the quote was a Rockefeller quote where he said, I'd rather get a certain percentage of so many people. Yes. It was John. Exactly, it's in my ebook that I have. It's John Paul Getty. Okay. John Paul Getty. So he was big into oil and gas back probably, man, please wait before we were born. Gotcha. He was a multi-billionaire. But this is what he said. He said, I would rather get paid off the efforts of 100 people as opposed to 100% of mine. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a different mindset. So think about what you and I were taught, most of us. We were taught, don't start a business, don't invest, play it safe, be secure. Well, okay, we did those things, and guess what? What it did not do for us. It did, for the most part, it did not bring us to the place of the wealth that allows us to have the freedom that we want, because that's what money should do for you.
Yeah.
It bring you to a place where you're able to have options and choices. Hey, I want to spend a weekend wherever. I want to take my wife on this vacation. I want to do this with my grandkids.
Right.
See, that's what the money is for, but you got to do it the right way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Even those people who live, they do work for 40 years and retire for 40% or something they can live off of. They had 100% of it, right? They retire and they went through that whole process, but now they're confined to this little bit of money, and they go out and have the fun that they've always wanted. They can't do those things that they've always wanted.
And one of the biggest lies that we've been taught, Eric, is this. And because I'm glad you hit on retirement, because I tell people I believe retirement is a death wish.
Okay.
I believe you got one foot in the grave once you retire, because what happens is you're turning off the creative juices that you need to live.
Right.
So you go talk to people who are retired and ask them what's the real. Don't give me I'm having a good time stuff. Tell me how what you really feeling.
Yeah.
Tell them feel unproductive.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm useful.
Right.
You know, I felt so much better. I was working and I was engaged. So I was telling people, first of all, don't retire. This is what I tell them. Get refired.
All right.
So maybe what I'm doing is, okay, I may leave this job, but I'm getting fired up about my next mission.
It.
You know, so whether it's a business or whether it's like you're doing a podcast or I don't care what it is, you got to be doing something, because you can't sit around and watch reruns of Gunsmoke and read, Sanford and Son all day, and you watch the Steve Harvey, because there's no creativity that's being released. You know, so something about not doing that. But to your point of people talk, and then if you talk to people who are retired, if they get there with resources, they don't have no energy left.
I'm tired. I'm too old.
Because you think about one of the guys who I recommend people listen to is a guy I follow pretty closely. I don't know if you heard him by a guy by the name of Myron Golden. Everybody.
That dude's man.
Oh my goodness, he's one of my favorite guys to listen to. But he says this all the time. I don't know who he got it from, but I got it from him.
Right.
And this. He said he said they're always warning us about the get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
But they never warned us about the get rich slow scheme.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It takes us 40 or 50 years to finally get someplace, and now I'm finally to a place where I'm retiring. Then now all the stuff you plan, I want to travel, I want to do all this. Now either you sick or you tired or you have enough.
Yeah.
And we think that's normal and that's okay. And he was like, I'm like, you know what? That is true. That is a scam.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And so part of what we're talking about now, and like you said, this will play back into this year, heading into 2024. Part of what we all have to do, you, me, and your audience, is we got to shift our paradigm if we want to shift and have more momentum.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that we've been taught about pay your mortgage off after 30 years, that's a long time. Put your money in the 401k. After 40 years, you'll have this. And I'm not saying those things you should not do.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. All of them take a long time.
Yes.
And I'm 55. I'm 55. You and I about the same age. Do we
I'm 54.
Another 30 or 40 years to go get something done?
Right.
We need to get it done like now.
What did Malcolm X say? We've been hornswoggled, bamboozled.
Yeah, man. Hoodwink, bamboozle, led astray, run amok. All that. I think it's that Malcolm X. He said, we didn't land on putting rock landed on us.
Right. Man. So we talk about stewardship. We talk about ownership, entrepreneurship. Right. And we talked about what did I miss? Stewardship.
No, those are three. So that's
ownership, entrepreneurship.
So
okay.
If you notice, all of them end with the word ship.
Yeah.
So what I do is the framework I teach flows out of those three things. So when I'm talking financial literacy, or whether I'm talking real estate, I talk about stewardship. I talk about ownership, and I talk about entrepreneurship. So if your audience goes to my website, dexterbjenkins.com, just like you did, they get the header or the footer, they smash that green button, the ebook that goes into more depth about stewardship, ownership, and entrepreneurship, they can get that there.
Yeah. So what do you mean when you talk about stewardship? So I get paid on Thursday, I get paid on Friday, and Thursday night I direct that money to my bills. That's not what you're talking about?
No, well, obviously part of it, dude, if you don't pay your bills, you can get put out. So part of it, I got to pay my bills, but
is there a certain percentage that I should be putting?
Yeah. And I go through that in the book, so I think that now there's so many different pathways you could take is ridiculous, but this is what I recommend.
Okay.
Save 10%, actually tithe 10%, save 10%, and learn how to live off the rest. And so now what I'm doing is I'm directing it where I need it to go. So obviously some of it would need to be paying for my bills and all that. Right. But a lot of times we have no plan with it. And so as I'm stewarding my money, I'm looking at, okay, where does my money need to flow? Right. And so that's what you're stewarding your money.
Right. I'm sitting there laughing, man, because I was soon I got out the military and I started working as a contractor. I was so bad with understanding how money works and everything else. And so I'm sitting in the HR with the HR team, and they're like, "You want a 401k?" And I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about?
That?
401k, right?" I said, "What do you?" They go, "Yeah, you take your money and you do this." I said, "No, I want all my money on my paycheck, right?"
I want to end my check, because you think about you like a 401k. It was like when my son first got a check years ago. And he said, "Dad, who is FICA?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "That's the taxes, son." Well, because a lot of times the conversation that we had around being financially literate and how to direct our money, they were not had. Maybe the most you may hear, save your money. And we're like, okay, where? Is it in my 401k? Is it in my savings account? Well, we know if we save our money in the savings account long term, we're getting less than 1%. Yeah. So that means the bank is getting rich off our money. And so it's incumbent on all of us, talking about momentum again.
Yeah. If
I'm going to create momentum for myself in the area of my finances, I have to become a student of money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where when you talk about, can you explain a little bit when you talk about paradigm shift? It's basically shifting the mindset, right?
Yeah. Because we think one way, and then what you got to do is you got to question momentum shifts again.
Yeah.
Because momentum shifts are created by you looking at, okay, is this making sense what I'm doing? And then if it isn't, I got to be intentional about what are the things that I need to do to get to where I need to go, and a lot of times because we don't, back to another Myron Golden quote, he said this, he said, thinking is the hardest work most people don't engage in.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
And so what you're talking to people about as the mayor of motivation, you're trying to get them to do some thinking. And this is what I say all the time, Eric, I say this, I say, questions are your teachers.
Okay.
Because when you ask yourself a question, it forces you to think.
Yeah.
Meaning, okay, man, it's 2023. I look at my bank account, dude, I ain't got nothing saved up. What did I do with my money?
Yeah. Ooh.
That question causes you to think, and you begin to look at it, and then you pull your bank statement out. You're like, okay, Netflix, Hulu, I ate out.
The liquor store, the parties,
liquor store, clothes. DSW, shoe store. You look like, dude, all my money is in somebody else's hands.
Yeah.
So, once you begin to question certain things, then you begin to question, hold up, I'm looking at my bank statement and I got all these debit, and debit, in. So that means that most people, I heard a guy say this, I don't know how true it is, but I believe this. He said most people have 100 something debits a month out of their account, but they only have like 4 to 8 deposits.
There's every paycheck, right?
Yeah. So so I got out, in. Yeah. Out, in. Okay, so how can I get ahead like that?
Right, yeah.
If I'm only getting paid 4 times a year, but I'm spending money all month long. And so but nobody taught us to question that.
Yeah.
Now you're like, hold up, I'm only getting paid 4 times a year, but I'm spending money all day, every day. Now, and the debit, and now unless the deposits are huge, which most of them are not.
Yeah.
dude, you can see why people are always behind. And so, one of the things that I always encourage people is that, listen, look to add, and this is now this is talking about a major momentum shifter for you as well as your audience, and for me as well, is you should be looking to add another stream of income to your life every year.
I was going to ask that question. How many streams of income do you think you need right about now?
Man, please, you need as many as you can get. But let's say right now your main one is your job. Okay, that's cool. But you got to look at, okay, is there a way that I can add another one in 2023 or 2023 now into year 2024? So now this is the key, Eric. In order for me to add another stream of income, I'm probably going to have to learn something new.
Oh, something that a lot of people don't want to do.
And most folks, we're talking about momentum. Yeah. So momentum, we're talking about momentum, right?
Yeah.
You probably, audience, you probably going to have to learn something new that you didn't know before so that you can do something you've never done before.
Exactly.
And so now you come to a guy like me, I teach people how to get involved in real estate, or you start a podcast. So now you learn how to monetize that, and so you learn how to speak. So you're going to have to learn to do something new in order to add another stream of income. I don't care what it is. I mean, you can figure it out. I got to learn how to be a writer. I write a book. I don't care what you do. Thing is, at least I got to be thinking, and going into finishing up 2023, heading to year 2024, how can I add another stream of income into my household?
Yeah.
Sometimes
you can go back to 2019. Everybody going through Christmas, they having a great time. 2020 hit, jobs go away.
Gone.
Not making money.
And you like, what happened? So we can't come, COVID hit like March of 2020. You're like, okay, I'm rolling. Next thing you know, you're like, yeah, I'm home.
Yeah.
I remember Bishop T. Jake said, he said, don't wait. He said, I encourage you guys not to waste this time that you're at the house.
Yeah.
Learn something new, So a lot of times, and I will say this, a lot of times what makes you money is not what we call traditional education, is what we call specialized education.
Okay.
Now, specialized education is something that you learn directly that will cause you to make more money. So, okay, going back to me. Well, I didn't know how to flip real estate back in 2016. I do now. So I had to learn. I had to put myself in situations and circumstances to learn how to do that. Yeah. Right.
I saw you talk about that on one of your podcasts.
Yeah, I had to learn that. I don't know how to do it now because this is what you said, and you just said a few seconds ago. Most of us don't like to read and do things that will better ourselves.
Oh no,
So now what I'm doing is I'm sitting there watching hours upon hours of television when I could be using some of that time to find out, okay, let me read a book on marketing. Let me read a book on how to flip real estate. Let me read a book on cryptocurrency. Let me read a book on how to invest in stocks. See, that's what I have to do if I want to add another stream of income to myself. I'm going to have to grow.
Yeah. And then you got to put it to work too. You can't just sit there and read it and put it on the shelf.
No, because
it don't work.
Because I've talked to somebody, because I mentor people either officially or unofficially, and so I was talking to a couple the other day, and they're flipping their first house.
Okay.
And so, matter of fact, I when I used to sell life insurance, they were one of my clients. So, we stayed in contact. And so they said, they called me Pastor Dexter. They said, Pastor Dexter, let's have a conversation. We're flipping this house. I said, would you get on a Zoom call? So I jumped on a Zoom call with them. And one of the things I talked about, I said, listen, the learning is in the doing.
There it is. I mean, you play basketball, you could go in the gym and practice all day long. You have no idea how good you are until you go up against competition.
You go up against some competition, and if you either they dunking on you or you dunking on them, and then you figure out, okay, I got some more work to do.
Exactly. I got to
lock them up, or they lock you up on defense. And so, conceptually, it starts with you, hey, getting on YouTube. Hey, it may start you going to a meetup. It may start you reading a book.
Yeah.
But then after some point, and this is what I talk a lot about too, Eric, is this. I talk about the difference between you learning something and the difference between you implementing something is this word called courage.
Yep, there it is.
Because a lot of times people don't have the courage to even do what you and I are doing. So you had the courage to put yourself out there. So, I'm gonna start a podcast.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, why are you starting a podcast? Who are you?
You don't know nothing. What you gonna talk about?
The mayor motivated. What's that? But and so I always say this: in order for you to build wealth, in order for you to even grow, it takes courage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm encouraging young people to do as we're heading out this year, heading to year 2024, is, man, it takes you being courageous to say, and this is what I always say too, to decide that you want to become wealthy is a courageous act.
It is, right?
Because you're breaking out of the pack. Because most people are happy saying, most people are happy being a day late, a dollar short. They're happy living paycheck to paycheck. They're happy, dealing with 3% raises. They're happy with the government or whatever dictating how much money they make every year. And then here you are sticking your head up and say, you know what? I ain't taking that.
Man, you sitting there talking about that, and I just felt this like in my gut. I did. It was like this feeling. So I always talk about there are words that just trigger something on the emotional side of you, right? Emotional intelligence, and it's just like it just, man, even just talk. It just feels like inside, because you have no control over when you're going to get your raises. You have no control over how much of a raise you're going to get. You have no control over what they write on your eval, your yearly. You're like, oh man, and then, like you said, you go and you get laid off. And now I went through 352 days of being laid off. And I told you about that. I've got no additional income coming in other than this part-time job and another part-time job. I'm trying to make them working. Right. And it's like, if you have control of that, you have a resource, right? If you have the right mindset, you can go out and create a job. I worked 2 jobs for the last 12 years up until about a year ago, right? And I look at my life, 54 years old, and I've worked 2 to 3 jobs majority of my life. Okay. So you think about it, you say, when you talk about that slow process to wealth, ain't no wealth coming out of that, man.
and this is what happens over that 20-year period. You get tired.
Yeah.
You get worn down. And so now, you begin to ask yourself, okay, I'm 50-something years old. I've been doing this for the last 20 plus years. What are my next 20-something years going to look at if I keep doing what I'm doing?
That gut feeling again.
Yeah, so it does become a question of, like, that's why I think this podcast is so important, because we're talking about creating momentum. Yeah. But momentum is created by questions we're asking us. Hold up, man, if I keep doing this ain't gonna work. Now, what happens is this. Now, once you decide I want to be wealthy, guess what happens now, Eric?
What happens?
Teachers begin to show themselves to you.
Hello, I'm Eric Collier. I'm also known as the Mayor of Motivation. As a motivational keynote speaker, veteran, and 2-time Amazon International Bestselling co-author, I specialize in inspiring transformation. Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. I've made it my mission to help individuals unlock their hidden potential and shatter barriers to turning the impossible into reality. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you could possibly become. I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on a promise to my kids where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in their house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. If you're seeking a dynamic speaker to ignite your next event, I'm your answer. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You got to get into the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you. You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Let's create an unforgettable experience that leaves your audience empowered and ready to conquer any challenge. Reach out to me at the number 1 momentumshift.com. That's the number 1 momentumshift.com. And let's make your next event an extraordinary success. Well, exactly. That's how come me and you right here, right?
Yeah. So now you be like, oh my God, I wasn't thinking about it now, but now it's like your antennas are up. You're looking for ways to bring in more income. So it may be real estate, it may be writing a book, it may be starting a podcast, it may be learning about how to invest in stock, it may be learning how to do whatever it is, because you got the gift and the talents and ability to do it. Yeah. But you got to activate it with your decision.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, you're so right. So right. So something you talked about when you mentioned, and I saw it in you, and I just start cracking up. So you talk about entrepreneurship.
Right.
Then you said in this world of spousepreneurship, that's right. and I bring that up because, you know, man, being married, you're not always on the same page.
Right.
Coming from different backgrounds, you got a different paradigm or perspective on how you view money. And so to step out of that and start bringing the other one to, hey, this is the way we should do it. Ooh.
Right. Yeah. And that's a process. Now, I've been very fortunate that my wife has been very supportive of the things that I've been doing. So whether it's starting a church, getting involved in real estate, such and so forth. But I know some people who are like, man, they're like, nah, I ain't trying to do that. Or maybe it's the wife, but the husband like, baby, I ain't trying to do that. You know, so I think you have to work through that. And you have to be transparent. I think because I think on our conversation we had prior to us even getting on this, we were talking about PTSD. Yeah. Where sometimes we've gone through financial situations, circumstances. And so now when it comes time for you to talk about stepping out and doing something that's different, they think like, hold up, man, you're leaving what we have as our security, but what you got to show them is that, baby, it ain't been working all these years anyway.
Exactly. I was going to ask that question. How do you work with people who have that PTSD and they're a little timid? They know it's not working and they wanted to step out, but they just don't have that courage. How do you work?
Exactly. Well, I think it's little by little. I don't think I don't think burn all your bridges. Well, they ain't gonna do that.
Yeah. They're not gonna do that. They out in the pool holding on to the side.
The ship is going down. They still, I ain't getting off this thing. So I think it's different for everybody, but I do think if you really can get people to begin to say, number one, where do I want to go? Number two, is what I'm doing going to allow me to get there? And then number three, do I have some help? Because what has given me courage is that I became part of communities and people who were supportive. Yeah. And as I saw other people doing it, and as I got coaching that I needed, after a while, I said, you know what, Dexter, you can do a little more than you're doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it's this thing. And then I like what you said when you were talking offline, you were saying some things about some of the financial struggles you said, you told your wife, baby, it's going to be all right. Yeah. And then you backed up what you said you were going to do. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't do that. Our spouse, I'm going to do it. And then they look at you like, well, okay, you tried this, and this. All of them failed and you didn't even follow through on that. And now you come to me with something else. Right. So part of it is that you have to almost be a man or a woman of your word. Now, does that mean everything's going to work out? Of course not, because there are things I've done that ain't work out. But at least when it didn't work out, I went back to my wife and said, hey, babe, this is why it didn't work out. And I'm going back at it again. Yeah. Because that's part of resilience. That's momentum, because sometimes things you try don't work. And then I got to do that's just part of the game. Yeah. So, but I do think that, to your point of, if we can come together, because as a husband and wife team, man, there's nothing that you can't do together, but getting together on the same page takes some time.
Yeah, it does. It does. I know.
It takes some time. It takes some time, and you got to be
Yeah.
extremely patient with the other person
Yeah.
as you're bringing them along to where you believe where you believe, in my case, I always say where you believe God wants to take you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big challenge. But I think when you talk about that paradigm shift, and people don't even realize it, that they're stuck in that mode.
Right.
That, it's like, well, this is what I've always been told I should do because it's going to lead me to be successful. And he said, well, what is success to you?
Right.
How do you define successful?
Exactly.
Is it that you have this job and now you stuck and you stagnant for the next 40 years of your life, or what have you? What is successful?
Yeah. And it does mean success is different things to different people. That I was in my book, I talk about wealth. It means different things to different people.
Yeah.
So, if I said wealth to you, some people, they may say, man, I want a Rolex, I want a Lambo, I want
right
houses. Well, and then some person, hey, man, wealth is for me.
Yeah.
They may say, I want to control my time. I want to spend a lot of time with my wife and my kids. I want to spend a lot of time. I want to golf 5 days a week.
Right.
I want to control my schedule. And this is what I find, Eric, and you and I hit on it earlier, is that wealth really is about you being in control.
Yeah.
However you want to live life. So if it's, I want to have 50 mansions, that's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, go for it. Or it's just like, hey man, I don't need, as I get older, I find the less things I need, less things I want, but it's more, I want to control my time more so than anything else, man. I want to do things that I want to go do and not necessarily be tied to a clock and not tied to every decision being a financial decision. Okay, I want to go. Well, I can't go on vacation because I ain't got no money. Well, I can't go to dinner because I have no money. That means I'm not in control. The situation and circumstances are in control.
Yeah. So what do you say? What do you say to those people who are listening to this show and go, "Oh, this man must come from money"?
Oh no,
because that's going to be response. Oh, you must have somebody help you. Somebody gave you something, right?
No. Well, I mean, I would say that I didn't grow up poor.
Yeah.
My dad and mom, middle class individuals. My dad was a barber for 50 plus years. He just died in August.
Okay.
They worked hard, man. Worked hard, saved money, bought real estate, things that nature. And so, they did some really good things.
Yeah.
But as I look at the levels that are out there, I'm like, my job is to build upon what they left.
There we go. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so as I've gotten in different circles and have heard how people think about wealth and leaving stuff for their children's children, and thinking more than making $100,000 is a lot of money. It's like it begins to shift your paradigm. So the first thing I tell people is this: get in some different rooms.
Yeah.
Get in some rooms with people who are talking way above you, and you like, dude, I ain't never heard that before. So when you hear somebody talking about, yeah, man, because I'm in rooms now where they're talking about making $1 million in a day.
Yeah,
I'm talking about over a lifetime. Talking about making in a day, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
They talking making $100,000 in a day. And you're like, well, $100,000 in a day. I ain't even made $100,000 in a year. Well, what happens is you've got to get in rooms that expand you.
Yeah.
So go back to our athlete example.
Yeah.
When I was coming up playing basketball, I would always play against older players.
There we go.
Yeah. Why? Because they were better than me. They were bigger and stronger than me. And so they made me work to become good. And so now when I went and played with my colleague, man, I was dominating because I'm 9 or 10 years old, but I'm playing with the 15, 16-year-old, and they kicking my behind. But did I come back to y'all? I'm killing y'all.
I'm dominating. Yeah. And eventually you catch up to where you can start.
Exactly. Now I'm dominating them. Eventually they're like, yo, D, you that little kid we were playing with. So now I'm growing from 5'6" to 6'3". Yeah. And I'm taller and stronger and bigger than them. And I remember when you were, y'all was behind when I was 9 or 10, but now I can handle my business.
Right. Well, now take this dunk and get off.
Take this 3-pointer when you But that's what people have to do. They have to get in rooms. They have to get in tune in a podcast like this. But you know what? This stuff that Dexter and Eric is talking about is different.
Yeah.
And don't allow your mind, because your rational mind likes safety.
Yeah.
And your rational mind will say that doesn't make sense. But then I'm questioning you, and I'm saying, listen to you, listen to this. What you've been doing hasn't been working.
Got to change it.
So if what you have not been talking about momentum, if what you have been doing has not been working to help you to get to where you need to go, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
All
the great leaders have used that mindset. We got to change it.
My mindset. I got to, in order to do that, I got to get in different rooms. I got to expose myself to different things. So, you know, I see behind you that you went to that speak, sell, and shine event that Pam put on.
Oh, man, it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I didn't go this year because my dad died, and she said, well, I'll bring you next year. But, you know, okay, that's an event where you're getting around people who are thinking bigger and differently, and you're like, wow, okay, so now I'm in a room with people not talking about making $20 an hour. You talking, you're in a room with people talking about let's make $1,000 a day and $20,000 a month. That's the room that you need to be in. Eye
opener, truly eye opener. I go back. I always tell people the story when I first got out of the military, and I got my $50,000 salary. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be great with this job because I'm making more than what my parents ever made, and I don't think anybody in my neighborhood ever made. I'm doing really good.
I'm good.
And I'm sitting in this room, and I'm hearing kids with less experience than I am talking about, oh, I'm over $100,000. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, hold on a second. So I had to up that up a little bit. So, like you said, in the rooms, and you'll be inspired to increase your level as well.
Yeah, one of my mentors from afar says this. He says, you can never aspire to what you have been exposed to. So a lot of times, because you've never been in those type of rooms, you can never aspire to it. And then you have, hold on, man, how much? And then sometimes you look at them, you be like, he ain't even better than me.
Right. Exactly.
He be like, hold up, how much are you making?
Yeah.
Him?
He don't even know what I know.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to get in those rooms.
Yeah.
People are like, hold up, man, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can be that. I can learn that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I tell people I would encourage people to start. Man, just begin to get in those rooms. If it's not in the rooms, hey, go on Amazon, go to the library, read some books where people are talking much differently than you're thinking and talking and thinking, and watch that begin to expand you. Turn the TV off, because put these phones down. This is what I call a weapon of mass distraction.
It is too.
You can be in this looking at this thing all day long.
Exactly.
As opposed to putting your head in a book or something, or listen to a podcast. Well, if you're doing it, get on a podcast that's like this one, that's stretching you and getting you to think differently.
Yeah, I had when the guy woke me up, the first thing he asked me when I came to his house, he said, well, what are you reading? And I wasn't reading anything. We're standing there with all his books, and he shows me. He says to me, he said, they make all these books. He said, they put them in the bookstore knowing that you're not going to come and read them, but it has all the secrets to success. I learned that. And so then as we started working, we talk about mass destruction. The TV was my mass destruction.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I realized as we started talking and learning, I realized that every day I sat down in front of the TV, hours upon hours upon hours, I was watching other people live their dream.
Thank you.
And I wasn't doing my own. And so I had to dial that back tremendously.
Right.
And when you do that, you get so many different things accomplished. Sitting in a room in silence and just thinking about where you want to go, and then start writing things down and working towards it has been a huge increase in my production. And I still got better to go. I always look at myself as under construction for life.
Of course.
But just that little bit has gotten that shifted momentum and got me to where I am now. So I'm looking forward to what it's going to bring next.
And the thing about what you're just talking about is like, once you turn the distractions off, now this is my pastor hat on. Now God can give you the download you need.
Ooh, the download.
Because prior to that, it's too much going on. I preached a message a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying, we got all our notifications on our phone. And so you got Instagram, then you got LinkedIn, then you got Facebook, and then you got other stuff. And man, God is trying to get information down to you that will help you to better your life, but he can't get past this.
Right.
So at some point, you got to turn the TV off. You got to turn your phone off and get some place, like you said, with a pen and paper and some pad and say, how am I going to get from here to there?
Yeah.
and then once you begin to do that, back to questions, which are your teachers. Now your teachers, now your people who can get you there, but begin to show themselves, so it's part of it.
Man. Dexter B. Jenkins, pastor. Man, I wish we could keep this going because I'm loving this conversation. I'm telling you, I'm loving this. But so what would you like to leave them with? Where can they connect with you and what you got coming up next?
Well, I would say a couple of things. Number one, to connect with me, go to dexterbjenkins.com. And for going over there, they can download my book, The Shit Method, which you and I started talking about earlier. Stewardship, ownership, and entrepreneurship. When they do that, it'll allow them to get on my email list, and then we'll be able to stay in contact with them. Gotcha. And then also follow me as Dexter B. Jenkins across the board. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all that. But then also in April, and obviously this is open to you as well, you and your wife. I'm throwing a real estate wealth creation event in April in Boston, April 27th. And obviously you're on my email list, so I'll get that out. But if people want to learn how to use real estate as a wealth creation tool, that's going to be a phenomenal conference. Last year we did our first one, had about 150 people there. We'll have about the same this year.
Yeah.
But, that's part of what we're talking about, getting in rooms where people are saying it's possible. And so that's my goal. My wife's goal is really to just get people in the room, say, hey man, you can do this. I don't care how old you are, whether you're 25 or 55.
Exactly.
It's possible.
No matter what you're up against, no matter how old you are, it's always possible.
It's possible.
You just got to shift your mindset, shift that paradigm. I love that.
So that's all I got for y'all.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, I'm loving it. I want to tell all the audience, everybody listening right now, go to Dexter B. Jenkins, get his book, download this book. What was it again? The title of it?
The Ship Method.
Ship Method.
It's a Ship Method.
Ship Method. The Ship Method.
Yep.
Get that, connect with him. Not only that, replay this because he just dropped a whole bunch of nuggets that you wasn't even thinking about. And it's going to take you a couple times to shift your mindset and understand that you got to come up with more ways to bring that income into your house and set your future up. Dexter B. Jenkins, sir, thank you very much for joining me today. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad to be here. We'll do this again at some point.
I'm looking forward to it. Oh, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Momentum Shift, a show designed to get you inspired, get you moving so you can get results. We want you to turn the impossible into possible for you. Until next week, listen to this episode again and then get to work. Take care. Are you feeling stuck, dreaming of a life beyond your current boundaries? I'm C. Eric Collier, and I've been where you are. Now, as an international speaker, 3-time international best-selling co-author, veteran, and the host of the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I've dedicated my life to helping people just like yourself embark on a transformative journey to unlocking your inner greatness. With my wealth of experience and a proven track record, I guide individuals to break through barriers and create life-changing momentum shifts. Having been featured in news and magazine articles, on television shows, and spoken on stages like the National Press Club and Columbia University, my message has inspired people worldwide to turn the impossible into possible. On my show, the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I'm committed to sparking a movement that empowers others to shift momentum in their lives, offering motivational insights, interviews, and thought-provoking discussions. If you are ready to redefine what's possible and unlock your potential, then subscribe to my mailing list for exclusive content and updates. Join a community of motivated individuals just like yourself on the path to greatness. Subscribe now and transform your life at CEricCollier.com. That's CEricCollier.com.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.